To create the snowball for my game that my playable penguin will throw, I'm going to go down to choose a new sprite, and I'm going to click the paintbrush so that I can draw my new sprite. Now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to get a circle tool. I am going to make that line white, and I am going to add an outline that is black, but only one thick. Okay, so a very, very small one. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and as a little trick, if I hold the control key, CTRL, and drag, I make a perfect circle. When I let go, you can get an idea of your snowball size out here. And it looks like I let go of the key just before I let go of the mouse. But that's a good size for my snowball. The other thing I want to do is I want to drag it around and make sure the center is lined up with the center. Okay. When I program this to move, when I program this to go to something, when I program this to hit the wall on the other side and disappear, it's all based on this center point. So make sure that your centers are lined up. Okay. So sprite 1 is going to become snowball. And here is my code. So the first thing I want to do, and this is going to sound weird, but when the green flag is clicked, I want the sprite to hide. Okay, so the thing about this is we're going to use a system called cloning. Okay, so it's going to create a copy of this snowball every time we do something, which in this case is going to be push the space bar. And so the original one is actually going to hide. It's not going to actually exist out in space. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and just because it belongs to this one, I'm going to move it to the very top up above that penguin so I know which one it belongs to. If I had to do it, which again, you can hide and show things with this right here. But there it is. When green flag is clicked, hide. The other thing to do when the green flag is clicked is forever, and then an if then. And this is a cool little thing to do because what we don't want to do is I don't want to just hold the space bar down and have it just rapid fire snowballs. That's not realistic unless we're Buddy from the movie Elf. So I want to have it so that every time I push the space bar, it throws one snowball. Here's how I do that. When I go to sensing, I have a key press one. So when the space key is pressed, I want us to, and this is under control and down lower, create a clone of myself. Okay, so when the space, so I can actually, this should make it work. If I click the green flag, it won't see it. If I push the space bar, it creates a clone of itself, which doesn't show because I didn't tell it to. Never mind. We're not quite ready to test it yet. But what we do want to do is stack some more components in here. I want to grab the wait until. It's very important that I get wait until with the pointy ends, not wait some set of seconds. That's very important for this next one. And then if we go to operators, you'll notice there's a not modifier right here. And here's a cool little trick. If I right click on that block, it duplicates it. So if key is pressed, then create a clone of myself, wait until it's not pressed. And usually what we want to do is we want to put a short wait after that. This is the wait something seconds. And I would encourage you to start with 0.5 or half a second. Now, what this does is it allows for you to rapidly create them. But if you could push the spacebar key only, if you held it down or if you pushed it really, really fast, it's only going to create a snowball every half a second. Okay, so that's a real important thing to consider. Now we need to tell it what to do when it starts as a clone, because currently it does nothing. Okay, so we have a little hat right here, sorry, at the bottom of control that says when I start as a clone. This will tell the clone what to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to have it go to our penguin. So where it says go to random position, put that in and change it to say penguin. Okay, so it's going to go to the penguin. Okay, the next thing it's going to do is it's going to show. So it's going to show up. Right now, if I wanted to test this as I move, I create a snowball every time I press the key. Okay, so that's not exactly what I want, but you can see my stuff is working. But what I want it to do is I want the snowball to move across the screen. However, if it touches either my opposing penguin, my NPC penguin, or if it hits the end of the screen, I want it to go away. Okay, so this is how we program this. So I'm going to go to controls and I'm going to grab a repeat until loop. So it's going to do whatever's inside until some condition or set of conditions is met. And that's what goes right here. So what I want it to do is I want it to change X by 10. So I want it to go that way. Okay, and this should work at this point. The snowball throws. Now it gets stuck at the end and never goes away. It also can go through my opponent. So let's fix that. Repeat until. And what we're going to do is we're going to use, since we have two conditions, two different conditions that could be true, it either hit the penguin or it hit the end of the screen, I'm going to use an or modifier, which you see gives me two pointed situations here. So I want to tail one of them if it's touching, sorry, that's under sensing, touching. For me, it's penguin 2. You could change it to NPC. You can change it to whatever else you needed, but know when it's touching the other penguin, or if the X position is greater than 230. So I need the greater than, because remember, positives over here, negatives over here. So X position is greater than 230. And if that happens, this part stops, which would again have the snowball just stop at those 2 points. What we want it to do is delete the clone. We want the clone to go away. Okay, so right now the original hides, and when we press the space key, it creates a clone of itself, and only every half second will it do that. This is what it then does as it starts as a clone. Okay, so if I green flag this, I will throw the snowball, and when it hits the end of the screen, it stops, and when it hits the other one, it stops. So that gives me a great idea of how this works. Now what I'm going to do briefly, for those of you who picked the water balloon fight theme instead, is I'm just going to separate this real quick so that it does nothing. Okay, and you can notice that I already had a water balloon sprite ready to go. So let me just reattach the hat on this one. So now the water balloons will work. And you'll notice there's only one change. It's this next costume block that came in. So if you get, and where I got this water balloon is I went to choose a sprite and I picked the ball. You'll notice as I hover over this, the ball is the same shape, but it comes in like 5 colors. So I'm using that to my advantage by putting this next costume block right here after the weight. So basically, as soon as I let go of the space key, it'll change. And the first color is yellow. So if I green flag this, you'll notice I get the yellow one, then I get a blue one, then a purple one, then a green one, or sorry, pink, then purple. Pink, green, then purple. So this is how that can work. So this is how I can go with more of that water balloon theme and get random colors. I will leave both of these in here because when I do the next video where I get the other penguin to start throwing water balloons or snowballs at us, I'll duplicate it and show where you put that next costume setting in for the snowball, or I'm sorry, for the water balloon one as well, so that it throws different color water balloons back at you. And kind of the interesting thing is it kind of remembers where it left off. So it starts on kind of a random color anyway, which is very realistic. I know it goes in a certain pattern. If you would prefer, instead of going through with next costume, I believe, nope. Switch costume to, yeah, that's one specific. So yeah, really our only option for that is next costume, but that's okay.